Night has fallen in British Columbia. We are at the 2010 Winter Olympic track at Whistler, and there is a light snowy drizzle in the air as well. It is cold, it is fast, and we are ready for the blue ribbon event of every IBSF World Cup weekend, the four-man bobsleigh competition. Hello everybody, welcome back to our coverage of this season opening weekend at the Whistler Sliding Centre. I'm Martin Haven, sitting alongside me is John Morgan. And John, we're fortunate to be inside in the warm and the dry, but for the athletes, a keen wind at the top of the track is just one of the issues that this Whistler Sliding Centre will challenge them with.
The fastest track on the planet, built for the 2010 games. Plenty of excitement here. Steep drop. Boy, it is steep, especially up here at the start. Look at the track record. Longa, 470 back in the 2010 Olympic Games. In, get down. You got to be settled around this first curve, and boy, no mistakes allowed here. You drop off 7 stories, and these big four-mans, big sport utilities, start to motor down the track. And they'll go a little straighter than the two-man bobsleds we saw last night, but you know, they have a mind of their own, these four-mans. Hard to get them in trouble, but when they do, they have a mind of their own. Big sweeping curves up here in Whistler. Straight away, a little chicane there. Now into 11. Right here, now into the part of the track where they start to reach 94, 95 miles an hour. 50-50 curve. Down into the Gold Rush. Bottom part of the track, Thunderbird. Big sweeping left here. 4.5 G's of pressure. That's quite a look at the track record. Another 2010 thing from Steve Holcomb.
Yep, 2010, the track was in unbelievable condition, and only this morning, lunchtime in a women's race, did Kaylee Humphries go inside her track record from that Olympic charge in 2010. Well, hovering around, freezing, and the ice temperature down at -2. Mark Lewis Francis there in the blue cap, the Olympic 4x100 meter gold medalist from the 2004 Games in Athens. Long time since we've had an Olympic gold medalist from the Summer Games in a bobsled competition, and he will be joining Lamin Dean's crew.
Lauren Williams 2 years ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's exactly right. She was a sprint relay medalist as well. Deane Valter there had a bit of a torrid time in the two-man yesterday.
He was part of the longest sled, Alexander Rodeker, that had the track record at the start, so he's still around.
And there is Rico Peter in the medals again yesterday in the two-man. Bit of blustering snow. Listen, we don't read out the rules. We don't make them, we read them out. The rules generally tend to suggest that if it's windy and snowy, USA sleds will cop it. So Nick Cunningham first off, Stephen Holcomb in 9th off the hill, and Cody Baskew in 17th place. 19 sleds, which means as long as you get down with all your men still on board across the finish line, you will get a second heat. We'll go first to 19, and then we will go 19 down to 1. The first round leader goes last to defend their lead. Nick Cunningham is the first man to drive a four-man sled in World Cup competition in the 2016-17 season. At the Whistler Sliding Centre, the American has the first start draw. He's got Nathan Gillslider, Brent Vogt behind him, brother of Chris Vogt, who's been part of the US setup for the last 2-3 years, and Hakeem Abdul-Sabur returns to the bobsled pack as well. He's at 4, right in the centre of your shot.
This is the night train that won the Olympic gold medal, this sled here, in the 2010 games on this track. Start, watch the in and down, 41, that's not bad. Not a bad exit. Two-mans are sports cars, four-mans, big sport utilities. They drive very differently. It's easy to get those two-mans in trouble, tougher to get the four-mans in trouble, but four-man gets in trouble, it's got a mind of its own. That's the wrap, first one down. Cunningham, veteran US slider. This is where the 50-50 curve is. No problem. Speed, watch this speed. Finish could be very interesting. 93 miles an hour, the first guy down. Through and down. 51.59.
Bing, bing, bing. We're over the 150-kilometre-an-hour mark with our very first sled. Nobody quite got to that in the final day of training in four-man, but they were all expecting to do.
73 hundredths of a second out of the track record. Start, you know, they're only 11 hundredths off the track record at the start. Here it is, look at this four-man, and watch the way it comes out and collides with the wall on his right, our left, but it goes straight. You know, unlike the two-mans, which they just bounce around a lot more.
So Nick Cunningham sets the pace for everybody else to chase. And the top 10 in last year's World Cup rankings are start draws 6 to 15. Chris Spring, start draw number 2. He's got Cam Stones behind him, joining the crew. Lascelles Brown, who was on the two-man yesterday. And Neville Wright returning after 2 seasons away. He was back at NH Vickers. He went back to school. He's in his final year now of studies as a rehab therapist. Be a lot of business for him in this sport.
Well, we know about Lascelles Brown. Cam Jones works the bank.
Oh, not perfect. Yeah, struggled to get in. 478.
Good. Keep that 66.9. Keep your eyes on that speed. That's the speed after curve 1, relative to your start time and how you get in the sled and get down and get around that first curve.
Already doing 45 miles an hour and accelerating hard. Just a couple of 100 meters after that standing start.
Listen to the noise these sleds make.
This is rolling thunder, isn't it? Top speed of the next mark, 84.3 miles an hour.
He's pulling away here.
We'll be up
Boy,
close,
huge speed.
close to 93.2. A little slower.
93.8 was the best speed by Cunningham in 14 hundredths. So Cunningham got beat by 300ths at the start. 14 down below by Chris Spring, who's had a lot more trips down this track in the last 3-4 weeks. Canadian Championship's been up here.
As ever, Lascelles Brown looking for the start time.
Well, that 42-year-old ageless Jamaican Canadian who's, look at these pictures, beautiful. Beautiful lines there by Chris Spring. Well, some really big boys getting in that sled.
Really are, aren't they?
How do they fit in there? That's what I, we're around the sport so much. When you see how big these guys are and how they fit in that sled, that's square peg in a round hole.
Sung-Jin of Korea, Kim Kwembo, his second man, Lee Kyung-min and Jang Ki-kun on the back of the sled, right in the center of that 3-man back row. So Suk, the only Korean driver in the 4-man. The 2 guys who raced in the 2-man are not doing the 4-man race as well.
Yeah, they're not as proficient in the 4-man as they now are in the 2-man, with 2 guys in the top 6 last night. Well, let's see. The guy in the back, I think, is like 6'8". He's in down quickly. Look how they get buried. Push bar out. Should be down by the time he gets there. No, it's still out. That should lock in pretty quickly.
Yep, snap back in. Once the aerodynamics and the wind speed get to it, it'll just pop back in. 1300 to keep it in.
Down. That's not too bad. He was like 10 hundredths down at the start. 14 down. He's only 15, 16 hundredths here. He's doing good. 21. So continuing to lose as he proceeds.
Top speed here was 84.3 miles an hour. He's at 83.8.
A little late in 50-50. Very forgiving at 50-50. Speed into the bottom. Well, he's
just under 150 Ks, just under 93 miles an hour, just over 93 miles an hour. 51.85, 4/10 of a second behind Nick Cunningham of the USA. Beg your pardon, behind Chris Spring of Canada. Nick Cunningham in between them.
Look at the size of the brake. He might be 6'9". He was around a couple years ago, and then we didn't see him for most of last season. Look at these pictures. A little late there. When you see those heads going left to right like that, that's a rough transition on the exit of a curve, the outlet of a curve. TV does not do this sport justice. When you see these sleds come by you, when you're standing as close as you can get on this track, it's impressive.
Edson Bindliati and the rest of the team from Brazil wearing black armbands in memory of their compatriots who were lost in the plane crash a couple of days ago in Colombia. Among the 70-plus souls that were lost on that fatal journey. Edson Bindliati, Edson Martins, Audrey Pisoni at 3, and Rafael Souza da Silva. That is your team from Brazil. These guys raced in the two-man race yesterday as well. Good performance from Edson Bindliati.
The way he starts, that's very different. He doesn't start in the back block. He's the only person I've ever seen stand on the ice without his foot in the block or his hands attached to the push button.
37-year-old, a four-time Olympian already.
Good exit there. 67.1. That's pretty good speed. It was better than Chris Spring, the leader. So that means they had very proficient pushing the sled and then getting around that first curve. Keeping track of the speeds is like keeping track of a box score in a basketball or football game. Greens and regulation in a golf match. Yards after the catch in football. Those speeds tell you a lot.
Just a whisker behind of career at the moment. It's going to be close. He could slip in front of the Korean sled for third place if he keeps it neat and tidy.
Good. He's bringing it back. 2000s to 1800s. This is pretty good.
Nick Cunningham. This could be very close. Wow. That's a big run.
Big run.
That is a big run for the Brazilians.
I saw him walking up the track, before he started his track walk, and I gave him a hug. He said, "We're going to do good tonight." And boy, they got a good piece of equipment. Joe Manning's done a great job with this team.
Yeah.
Look at the way they're dressed. They're working probably with as least amount of money as anybody. And these are great athletes.
Well, listen, halfway down, his gap went out to 2500ths behind the leader. At the finish line, 2200ths behind the leader, so he drove a great run.
He was 1000ths behind Cunningham at the start. Only lost him by 2. Good speed on the bottom. There he is in the 50-50 curve. Good lines.
There's a quarter of a second off the lead in a four-man on this track. You should be looking at maybe even being top half dozen. Nick Poliniato of Canada is our 5th starter in the season opener in the four-man bobsleigh, with Daniel Sunderland, new boy in the team, at 2, Derek Plug at 3, and Keenan McDougall. He said, "I used to play football." That was my previous one. What position? He said, "Sidelines mainly." Right, he was a safety for the Stampeders and the Rough Riders. Canadians know what kind of caliber of player he was.
In down quickly, these guys. Watch the speed come around. And left. 67.6. Good speed.
Yep. He had a good run in the two-man yesterday with Derek Plug behind him. Let's see what they can produce in the four-man. Don't forget, in January this year, last season as it was, there was no four-man racing here at World Cup.
Watch the heads coming on off the curves. Look at the aerodynamic profile of the riders.
0.08 of a second off the lead. Challenging teammate Chris Spring for a Canada 1-2.
He won one of the Canadian champ selection races.
Getting closer, 700ths away.
He's starting to fly. Bottom part of the track. Speed.
600ths of a second. 151 and
95.
change.
Wow. What a
run.
comeback. He was, look at this, 900ths behind Spring at the start and only lost 8 at the bottom. Top speed of 94.2. Best speed so far has been by the Brazilian, but on it, 95.
95 miles an hour by Bindliati. Let's take a look at the start. On the back brakes, Keenan McDougall, like Daniel Sunderland, making his debut here. Does he slip? Oh, digs it in.
Look
at
Yeah, just had a little slip there, which, it's technique. It's like, football you play all your life. He's just coming out for the bobsled team.
Plus, what do you think? No nerves at all? First World Cup race, first big bobsleigh race of his career? Not many. Chris Spring leads, Nick Poliniato second. It is Canada 1-2 at their home here in Whistler. Third in the four-man bobsleigh World Cup season standings last year, Rico Peter. He's got Bro van der Zijde, Simon Freely and Thomas Amrijn. And this is a mixture of the giant Dutchman, Bro van der Zijde, and hugely experienced Simon Freely and Thomas Amrijn.
There's some large men on this team, too.
Yeah. And big hearts.
See the way he starts from the back block? Look at the holes in the push bar.
13 World Cup points, 3 bronze medals last year.
Proficiency in that start. 300s out speed, though. He tapped there, 66.7. Not one of the better speeds, start speeds.
While on this track in the two-man in January, he was in the silver medal position last night in the two-man.
Oh, look at that hop! He almost crashed. There was a big bump he hit going into that curve that threw him into the middle.
Wow, that's the
that
first
was
time
close.
we've seen a mistake in the
there.
bobsled in turn 4.
And he's fast. This is a typical Swiss run. They come down and hit everything in sight, and that's what Rico Peter's done, and he's just fast. Boy, he's out of control here, though.
Let it fly.
He's really letting it fly.
So did Alana Myers Taylor. She crashed there.
Is out of control, but you know, when you're not steering.
This is how you win races these days. What a run.
Wow.
What a run.
I've seen it my whole life. The people that come down the track totally out of control are the fastest. Yeah. That sled was the first sled we've seen on edge from curve 4 all the way to the bottom.
Wolfgang Stanford just gave his fellow coach that look that when he's doing it again. Wow, and that was his hallmark last year on this track, Rico Peter. It was a crash at every corner that he just
Look at the jump here, watch the bump. See that airborne there? That throws him in the middle of the curve and he's way up here in the outlet. They were almost upside down. How does he stay so fast?
That's nearly 700 kilos being bounced in the air.
He had the worst lines in 50-50. He didn't steer here either. You know, okay.
Oh.
You know, that's not how to do it.
That's how to do it.
You
see the look he gave? Okay, all right. Next up, Deane from Great Britain at 2, making his bobsleigh debut, Mark Lewis Francis, Athens 2004 4x100-meter Olympic gold medalist, Andy Matthews at 3, and another new boy at 4, Tremaine Gilling.
Put your seatbelt on here. This could be a start. This is not a lot of experience, athletic talent.
Two brand new boys in the sled.
484. Watch it come around and look at the run of tips. Not bad. 67 4s, respectable. Good speed. Lamond so close to winning medals. He's going to have a breakout year. He's got to have. Look at that. He's -3. He went from +4 to -3. That might be that start velocity that those guys provided.
Over wild man Rico Peter.
+5, gave back a little bit.
Top 3 are separated by 2,500s. He's in 3rd place at the moment, ahead of Canada's Nick Poliniato.
Back, watch out here, perfect. He's going to have the speed. He's going to have to get into the 152. He does. Wow. This is a 95.
Single sled, very quick, 51-41. 400s ahead of Chris Spring of Canada. He lies in 2nd place.
And Spring had the better shot. Look how quickly they're out of the sled. Now, Lamond Deane, the guardian of the Queen, he's been knocking on the door for a medal.
Well,
I'll tell you, this season, he's going to win a few medals.
Overnight medal contender in the 4-man World Championship in Eagles in February. And crashed going for glory.
I can put a bet down. I bet you he wins a few medals this year.
Rico Peter of Switzerland leads from Deane of Great Britain and Chris Spring of Canada. Next up, 4-man exponent Nico Valter, the giant Kevin Kuska in his 423rd season on ice, and what is going on with that eyebrow, we don't know. Alexander Rödiger, one of the track record start holders here.
Kuska and Rödiger both are part of the start team that won the have the track record from 2010.
And behind them, Philip Verbeto.
Watch this technique. In, down. Look at, ooh, got a little skid there. Oh, they almost. Best start. Let's watch the start speed. 67.6.
Well, Spring's crew with a 478 still has the fastest getaway, but they were 2nd quickest, and they have the lead.
Ooh, late there. He's, you know, he's driving a brand new FES sled. Last night he had it, didn't do very well in the two-man.
Rennie Speaks said they just didn't have the right runners on it. Let's see if he's got the right runners on it
late
tonight.
there.
Ooh,
big
high.
Steer there.
High, wide, and handsome. 1100s back.
No problem. I will see the speed. Now he's got a motor here in the Thunderbird. The Gold Rush, the fastest part of the track. 2200s down.
Yeah, hasn't got the speed.
No. Way off the
3400s
pace.
back. Wow. 500ths of a second in front of Brazil.
Yeah, he's
That's
tested.
not a sentence you say too often about a German sled.
He got dealt a tough deck of cards here. I mean, tough hand. Look, he don't want to get out of the sled. He was so disappointed last night.
Look, it's tough. You know, you're racing, and you're racing your teammates for position and a place in the team and everything else, but everybody knows that they are tested.
And you know, you're not going to find a more positive guy than him. But watch this getting in. Watch the front of the sled here. Watch this little variance. Look at that. He's a little bit, oh, he almost went towards that wall.
Yeah, he did. He rubbed the
That
wall.
was close. Maybe they ran a step too far.
He didn't have his hand on the D-rings when it came out of the grooves, and that's part of the issue there.
Someone else going to make that mistake, I'm sure.
And here's a man who's got good memories of this track, like Kaylee Humphries in the women's race. Stephen Holcomb walked away from here in February 2010 with the gold medal round his neck. Joined today by Carlo Valdez, James Reed and Sam Mitchener. Also racing here this weekend, one of his four-man brakemen, of course, Justin Olsen, raced in the two-man competition yesterday.
It's Holcomb. It's the first time they've ever raced this BMW four-man sled. They get down, good start. Fifth best start.
We talk about this being
67.3,
the
not
sports
great
utility
speed.
vehicle. I think BMW would like to say that the two-man's an M3, this is more an M6.
Yeah.
Big, fast, continent crushing.
They didn't think they'd get this out of the box racing until January. Holcomb accelerated the last couple of weeks. They got it legal. It's only 700s back. He's got good lines here.
This is the Olympic champion on this track. He knows where it goes.
Boy, did he have some fast speeds on the bottom part of the track last night. See if he can match it again.
About a
Top
kilometre
speeds,
an
they're
hour
saying.
down at the moment.
He's only
Yeah,
1000s back.
That's good.
Wow.
Very good from Holcomb. 800s behind.
Well,
And he
considering
was 300s behind at the start. And he didn't look like crashing apart from maybe once or twies.
right.
Whereas Rico Peter looked like not crashing only about once, and that's when they jumped in.
Well,
We have got a good race on our hands here. The season opener in four-man is not going to disappoint. Yeah, Holcomb looking happy with that.
and that crossover. Remember, he's only got 4 trips. This is his 5th trip in this sled on this track.
Yep.
And he's probably got 10, 12 trips in it previous to this.
Well, he was here last week during the testing week, so a little bit more mileage, but certainly nothing really to write home about. Russia's Alexei Stolnev is the 10th of our starters in this four-man season opener. Ilva Hutzin, Vasily Kondratenko, and the experienced crew joined by Roman Koshelev. And Roman is the new boy in this four.
Good athletes here in the Russian program too. In, down, look how quickly. Aerodynamic profile, heads buried. Number 2 guy's way up. Good start though.
Look how fast he got in, and Stolnev still gets a 4:79 with the team. 100th off the fastest
But
start.
I don't like number 2 guy's heads way up and just bouncing around back there. On this track with the high speeds, aerodynamics is a huge part of the mix. Look at the head, you can see it.
Yeah, he's not able to wriggle himself all the way in. Now, is he riding cannonball with his knees under his chin?
Got the lead though.
500s, it was out to 11. It'll be down almost to nothing at the next split. He's 400s back.
Ooh, little skid there. Back end of the sled at 50-50.
1200s back. He's in 4th place. And across the line, fifth position behind Chris Spring, Deane, Stephen Holcomb, and leader Rico Peter.
I think we're going to have a pretty close race here tonight. What do you think? Look at those times.
1900ths of a second cover the top 5, quarter a second the top 6. 800ths first to second. Dark visor for Alexei Stulnev. That yellow tint. And with the black visor, Ilva Hutzin was the man at 2.
Look at the heads take on. You know, you can't just be a sandbag. And look at that, he hit going in. Look at that back end come up now. Look at that. See, that's what I talked about. Look at the back end of the sled here. We noticed that in the live call. It was sliding up top. Lost some time there.
Junior two-man world champion and four-man world champion Hannes Lochner for Germany. Matthias Kargerhuber, brand new to the lineup. Sebastian Mroka is new as well, as is Christian Rasp, all making their World Cup debuts.
Look how quickly those guys are in. Look at that aerodynamic profile. You don't see any heads there. Any post the second best start. And the speed, 66, not very good speed though.
Lochner making his four-man World Cup debut.
Likes the track. Oh, he's gonna go. Oh, he's just the same thing as Rico Peter. Hit that bump on the right side. They won't be the last team to do it.
200s back, like Rico Peter, wild and fast.
It's breathtaking to watch these
The
things come
coaches
down.
are aging by the second. 210s back, slipped away to 6th position.
He's driving one of the older Wallner sleds. He got the 2 and the 4 Wallners from last season.
Yeah, so not even 12 months old. But he's annoyed with himself, Johannes Lochner.
Well, that bump up there, like, you know, way up top, curve 4, 5, I think it is.
Another big start from this young crew, 479, 100th off the fastest.
Here we go. Now watch the right side of your screen. Watch the back end of the sled. Boom, airborne, and then he goes in the middle of this corner. Boom! He's Robin Hood.
Robin Hood, yeah, hauling it off.
Just pulling it off there, because that's strange. That's a strange look.
Johannes Lochner looking at the times. It's Rico Peter who leads from Stephen Holcomb, Deane, and Chris Spring. Russia's Alexei Stulnev lies 5th. This is his teammate Alexander Casianov. Now, he's had some good four-man results on this track 3 or 4 years ago. Silver medal behind Alexander Zubkov. He's had good two-man results here as well. So this is a track that suits him. Yeah, this is a big crew, long on experience. Zaitsev, Pushkarev, and Belugin.
Casianov has had some good success on this track.
See if he can find that form again.
He's in quick. Look at the aerodynamic profile. All in there. Tough, nice start. Whoa, give him a good start. Watch out. 67.5. It's not the best, but it's good.
We had double four-man duty in Park City last season, and Casianov won one of those races.
A big lead here. This guy, you give him a start. He was 4th at the Winter Games in both the 2 and the 4, lacking good starts. So his driving abilities are as good as anybody.
Silver medal in the four-man in Lake Placid in January this year as well. Where are we going in a fortnight, John? Remind me? Lake Placid.
He's 10, speed on the bottom.
Still green.
Could be it. Speed, he's going to need that. 94.3. He's got huge
good.
speed. He's going to be the leader.
He's going to lead. Casianov, 51.17, has the lead of the race. This is a track that suits him.
You know, if this guy's got to start, this guy, you're talking the World Championships are in Sochi. If he didn't have the start time that Zubkov had when Zubkov won the 2 gold medals there in 2014, this guy gets a start. I say he's the favorite right now.
He's got to start. 478 is as quick as anybody in the competition, and
he's usually 600-800s behind at the start.
Held the lead all the way down.
And look at this. The Rico Peter is lost almost a kilometer in this speed trap out of Luter's Loop. even with this mistake. Of course, Rico Peter was wild.
It was wild. Okay, so 1100s now, first to second. Rico Peter in second place. Stephen Holcomb in third, the Olympic champion on this track in 2010.
Okay,
Well,
next two
about
sleds. Next two sleds are going to tell it all.
Justin Crips, joined by University of Saskatchewan running back Joshua Kirkpatrick. Jesse Lumsden, another CFL player back from 2 years away. And Ben Coquel, another man whose previous sporting career was in the Canadian Football League.
I bet you these Canadians get into the 70s. I would say they should. Quick, down, 82. Not bad, 67.4, 66.6. That's not a good start speed. See how that affects it down here. He should be +8. So he knows the track as good as anybody. Been down as much as he knows anybody, other than his teammates. So yeah, +8 should get out to +10 or 12. He shouldn't stay there. 11. So he's just about stopped the lead.
Yep.
If I can say that.
Well, he was only 8th fastest at the start.
Real high
Third on
entry.
the splits
Boy,
at
that
the
was
moment.
nice.
Maybe that's the Canadian line.
This is smooth.
Still in third place, 1400s back.
And he gets a good speed here in the bottom.
Still in third place. Can he stay in front of Stephen Holcomb? No. By 300ths of a second, he's out to fourth, Holcomb third. And he's 200ths ahead of Lamin Deane in fifth. So that's 3 sleds battling for the bronze.
So compared to Rico Peter, who should have been arrested for reckless driving, this was a great run. I mean, he drove straight down the middle of the track. Impressive out of 11 and 12. You know, high on 11, crossover perfectly. I mean, tap here though.
Yeah.
Bottom part of the track, the TV crew picked it up, but the rest of it, that tap could have cost him a little bit. Didn't have the great speed.
That high, wide line in Shiver was a long way up. But he held on to it.
Here we go.
Benny Meyer, back it in Benny as he was yesterday in the 2-man. We'll take a look at his approach into 9 in the 4-man. Hopefully a little straighter. Benny Meyer of Austria with Stefan Lausegger, Markus Sammer and Danut Moldovan.
Breakout season last year, and they've got good starts. He had the 5th best starts in the 2-man last night. Here, 41, 5th best start here. Look at the runner tips.
Real pickup crew at the beginning of the season. Barely could find a healthy athlete. Didn't come to North America, but rounded out the regular season with silver in St. Moritz and then in Cunningham, Bavaria.
How old is he? 22, 21? Yeah, he's young. A lot of promise.
Brother Raphael is a skeleton slider, and so is their younger brother Sammy as well.
He won a silver medal last year in the European Championship, in the European Championships in St. Moritz. This is smooth. You know, go back to that reckless driver, Rico Peter. Smooth, might not be fast.
8th place at the line. Up to 7th, just dips to the line in front of Alexei Stulnev.
What's he? 700ths out of 4th, 1000ths out of a medal.
Yeah, I mean, from Stephen Holcomb, 1900ths off the lead, to Alexei Stulnev in 8th, 3/10ths off the lead. There's 1100ths, telling me that somebody's not going to gain or more likely lose that. That bronze medal has got a 5- or 6-way battle going on for that.
We could have a tie for one of those medals before we're done here tonight. Look at the climb, look at him dive out, set himself up out of 11, 10, 11. Look at that little tap there. Now watch the heads in the transition here. Nice looking kit though.
Yeah. Runner-up in the World Cup at the end of the season. 2 straight wins in the 4-man to kick it off in Altenburg and Winterberg for Francesco Friedrich. And he then dipped out lower down the top half dozen. Final medal of the season, bronze in Koenigsegg.
Look at him hang over. 475.
That's a great start, fastest of all.
67.5, not the best. But he's got, oh, he should be more than that. He should be more than -2. This is a brand new welder sled.
Won the gold in the new welder sled in the two-man yesterday with his brakeman, Torsten Marcus, who's on the back.
Yeah, he's losing. Good lines, too. He's not
still pouring himself into contention. 100th in, 100th out of the lead.
Oh, real high there. Real high in the lip.
Well, remember the scare he gave us in the two-man? I spoke to Torsten Marcus after, so I said, do you know he nearly crashed? You said, yes, I knew. That was closer.
Rennie Spees, the coach, took complete responsibility for that crash. Almost crashed in the second run when he was on a victory lap to the finish. He said he told him to go for a high line down in 15, 14, and almost didn't work out. That time, he was really high on 12. Really climbed really high, so it'll be interesting when they show us the take on into the 50-50 curve what happened, because ooh, look at that. That'll catch your attention.
It was almost in the woodwork.
Then he hit, he had to pull down, then he hit, then he came late. So now he's got to go to the middle of the curve, and the curve's dictating to him. Now he does what we call the Robin Hood. Pulls.
See, even as he comes into shot, he's trying to haul it off the corner before he's even gone up the wall. He knows the danger they're in.
I've seen Andre Longer in that line a couple times in 2009. That was...
That was heart in the mouth moment. When the brakemen go weightless, they know they might be in trouble. Dramatic four-man racing so far from this Whistler sliding centre. We've only got 15 of our 19 sleds down so far in the first heat. Loic Costerg for France next, and two new men in the crew, Dorian Auterville and Vincent Castel joining him, with Jeremy Bouterin, who's in the crew for the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, Jeremy's starting to drive. He's out on the Europa Cup.
Bruno Mijon behind them in the hat, and Max Robert.
Those two won a bronze medal at the 1998 Nagano Winter Olympic Games in the four-man. Costege has a little bit better chance in the four-man, but not with that start. I thought that they would have a better start than they did.
It has all the hallmarks of another Bruno Mijon cowl on this sled, and he is very good at building sleds that cheat the air.
So he's going to go out to 30 probably at the next clock, and hopefully his driving will neutralize the rest. The back end here, 28, yeah, not bad. So now should flicker around 28 to 3,500, so maybe eat into this deficit.
Now, no four-man race last season here. I think that I'm right in saying this is the first four-man race on this track for Loic Costerg.
Yeah, he just, nothing worked for him.
Well, it was as wild looking as Rico Peders, but without the speed.
He was wild, had a bad start and a wild ride. Those are not good ingredients for a good time at the bottom.
Loic Costerg gets them down, and they are in 15th position out of our 16 sleds. And there was, well, there was plenty to choose from on the sampler reel of mistakes.
Yeah, he made a mistake there up top. Look at the 50-50, pushes in. Look at that. That's a lot of weight. That's like 1,300 pounds bouncing up in the air like that at almost 90 miles an hour right there.
Listen, it takes two strong men to carry an empty bobsled. Never mind one that's got 400 and odd extra kilos of meat in it.
Oh, boy, there was a force meter in there. What that is like, what type of explosion.
Biding his time at the top of the track is the USA's Cody Basque. Frank Del Duca, Adrian Adams, and Christopher Kinney are the lineup. Kinney new to the bobsleigh program, braked in the two-man race yesterday. And this, the night train too. Brand new livery on it, looking absolutely superb.
He just had 2 trips in it. He had a couple trips in it in Park City, but Holcomb went with the BMW sled. Cody jumped in this one as soon as he could. Okay, so they want to get in the mid-80s at least.
go.
81.
481.
Decent. Ooh, tap there though. 67, not great.
6th quickest start, only 300s off the lead this time.
It's already 13 back. Uh-oh, watch out. That bump almost got him too.
Not as bad a hit there. Little skiddy after it, and it will have cost him time. Wow, 3/10 back.
Ooh, watch out here though.
Lots of dramatic lines in this race so far, and Cody Basque is adding to the drama.
16th place.
Well, safely down and across the line.
63 hundredths off the pace. Wow.
Well, as you say, a bit of a wild ride. Not a sled he's particularly familiar with. And John, all these things are like racing cars. They all have a little individual feel to them.
Both him and his teammate have the 6th best, Cunningham, 6th best starts, and they're in the back of the field. So runners, the sleds know how to go fast. They've got the history of that. Ooh, look at that. Wow. That was a violent hit on that bump. Skid there. Little minor skids up top like that are costly. Cody very disappointed. You can see that just in his gait.
He only did 3 World Cup races last season. He'll be hoping to be in for the full year. So will Ivo de Bruin and the Dutch. Rudy Mensink, David Boompech, new to the team, and Dennis Finker, who we have seen before. We were catching up with these guys earlier in the week. Ivo saying that the Federation have given them €5,000, around $5,000 US, for the season, for everything.
How about last weekend? Their teammate was rushed to the hospital.
Yep.
And
Olaf, he raced last weekend in the North America's Cup, fell ill afterwards. Doctors operated on what they suspected was an appendicitis. It burst in the theatre.
And it burst. It's unbelievable. They got him there, and he competed. You know, he wasn't feeling good. And boy, so hopefully he's watching.
Yep.
And the best goes out to him.
So supported by Vin Normans and Eurotech, and of course Ivo's wife Christine de Bruin raced in the women's race, not for the Netherlands but for her home country of Canada. They both now make their home in Calgary.
A lot of hope. Oh boy, a little wild steering there.
Got to get this down, post a result, get the points on the board, and then think about the second heat immediately. 52-42, 18th place. Well, as you said, Olaf, one of the expected starters in the 4-man, still recuperating in hospital. So it is a largely new crew. Only Dennis Finker on the back has slid World Cup before.
Back end of that sled in 50-50, so when you see that back end skidding on these big 4-man sleds, wow.
So Netherlands complete their first trip down the mountain. Second heat coming up in a short while. Maxim Andrianov of Russia, 19th starter, 19th and final sled in the first of our 2 heats in the 4-man bobsleigh season opener here in Whistler. Peter Masayev, Yuri Selikov and Ilya Malik. Another very experienced crew lineup here. I have no idea how many years Yuri Selikov has been in Russian bobsled suits, but it's a few.
They're in that sled late. Good start, though.
Yeah. Well, think how early Alexei Stulnev got in, barely over the rise before he loaded, and they got a 4.79 start. These guys ran it almost down to turn 1. They got a 4.80. 700ths off the lead.
There's so much athleticism and competitiveness in the sport of 4-man bobsledding. The leaderboard, the top 6 are 6 different countries.
900s out of the lead. This is a top 4 run at the moment from Andrianov.
He's coming back.
third place,
faster.
800ths away. He's hanging it out.
Boy,
like
he's
Rico
loose
Peter.
though. He looks like Rico Peter.
Wow, and that's cost him. He couldn't hold
Yeah,
on
he lost
to
his
big
speed.
skid in
Big
15.
skid. Yeah, fifth, still great run. Wow. Look at that. I think the coaches are shocked.
If it was 500 meters shorter, he'd have been in the lead of the race almost. Last 3 or 4 corners out of the Gold Rush Trail, he was looking great, and then 15 and 16 drifted away from him, but there's potential. Comes across the line in 5th place, and another man goes into the battle for bronze or silver.
There's sideways. This is all the bottom part of it. Look at the back end of the sled there.
Hauls
this
that
is
off.
Another reckless driver.
And well, he didn't quite get to Rico Peter levels in the Scare the Announcer Stakes. I think he might have done in the Scare the Bobsleigh Brakemen Stakes.
Well,
so, dramatic stuff from Russia's Maxim Andrianov, but it's his teammate Alexander Casianov who leads the race by 1100ths of a second. And if you throw out a blanket, a quarter of a second covers the top 6, 3/10 of a second the top 10, including all 3 Russian sleds. I think the medals, John Morgan, are wide open here. Look at this. 3/10 covers the top 10. It's anybody's medals. They're just sitting there on the table. Whoever grabs them and runs best will get them. Alexander Casianov has a slender advantage over Rico Peter and the 2010 Olympic champion Stephen Holcomb on the track in which he claimed that 4-man gold. Deane Crips knocking on the door, as are Adrianov, Lamin Deane, Francesco Frigi, Chris Spring, Benny Backett-Meyer and Alexei Stulnev. And there is potential for improvement from behind as well. Lochner, Poliniato, Cunningham, Valter, they've all got points to prove. So who is going to come out with the medals? Who will be on the top step of the podium? Russia, Switzerland, America, Canada, Great Britain, Germany, who knows? Only one way to find out. Join us for the second and deciding heat at the Whistler Sliding Centre. Coming up shortly. Stay where you are.